Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This week's video is going to be a little bit on the shorter side, and it's a bit more of an open discussion rather than a strict writing advice video. So in this week's video, I want to talk about the weird space of writing your second book. If you've been following my channel for a while or my website for a while, then you'll know that in November last year, I released my debut novel, Every Time He Dies. Now, it took a long time to write Every Time He Dies for a number of reasons, but some of them were I was teaching myself how to write a novel while writing a novel. Then there was time, life, and money. Now here's the thing, during those 7 years of writing Every Time He Dies, I was publishing other content. I was publishing non-fiction pieces about lifestyle, writing, culture, and gender. I was also publishing a few short stories here and there and a few pieces of flash fiction. And then as time went on, I also published a novella. And then I actually wrote and published a YA fantasy series under a pen name. So here's the thing, I was already published by the time I published Every Time He Dies. And yet, publishing Every Time He Dies was so different because it had this enormous amount of energy and time invested into it. It was my heart project, whereas so many of the other things I had been doing as a way to build my CV and to build my credibility as a writer and to just basically have fun and to get my stuff out there. The other reason why Every Time He Dies was such a big deal to publish was that it was the first piece of fiction I'd ever tried to seriously write. Now, I'm not sure if I'm explaining this well, but Every Time He Dies is the first novel I wrote, the first piece of fiction I wrote, even though other pieces of fiction were published before it was published. So for that reason, it was really close to my heart, and when it went out into the world, it was a really big deal. And now that Every Time He Dies is out there in the world, and it's like totally done, there's no more fixing, no more editing, no more anything, it just feels kind of weird. Now, there will be a sequel for Every Time He Dies eventually, but right now I'm working on a novel as part of my doctorate, as part of my research investigation, and it's completely different. The story is different, the setting is different, the characters are different, the intention behind the book is different. Now, here's the crazy thing. I have been writing Daph's story for so long that it's actually really weird to try and write somebody else's story. Some of the things I've been struggling with in writing this second book is that I didn't really like the characters. And then single scenes were feeling kind of boring and as though the plot wasn't moving forward. And I just felt like there was no real narrative drive within the story. Now, of course, I know these are all totally fixable problems, and these are all problems that I had with Every Time He Dies in the early days, so I know that this is totally normal. Now, I just want to switch gears a little bit and talk about a book that came out in 1983 by Lewis Hyde, and it's called The Gift. So one of the core ideas of The Gift is this idea that you are born with a talent, and we have two choices. We can either ignore our talent, or we can work on it, strengthen it, and build it into something meaningful and to something that will then impact the lives of others. One of the biggest takeaways within the novel is this idea that in order to create new art, the artist must give away their old work. If you do a painting, you must gift it away to somebody else in order to have the energy flow or the inspiration to create something new. If you don't give away your gifts, then the flow of life will get blocked up and you'll experience things such as writer's block. Now, of course, I have given away my gift. Every Time He Dies is out there. There's no taking it back now. So in this way, what I'm experiencing is not actually writer's block, it is just the natural figuring out process that comes with the creation of any new project. Because here's the thing, I know how to write my first novel because I wrote it. What I don't know is how to write a second novel because the characters are different, the setting is different, the premise is different, everything is different, and it's unknown and it's scary, and I just kind of feel like I'm fumbling around in the dark. Consequently, I also don't know how to write Every Time He Dies Book 2 because I haven't done it yet. So if Hyde's theory is to be believed, then it's through the publication of Every Time He Dies that I am now free to write a new book. Hyde also states that in giving away your gift, that gift is then reanimated by the receiver, and eventually, in the natural process of life, that same energy will then be returned to you, the giver. Of course, this also poses the question of how much can you give away before you are completely evaporated? For me personally, I'm hoping the answer is a lot. So there you have it, guys. Those are my messy reflections on the writing process of my second book. I know that this wasn't a clear, concise, this is my problem, this is how you fix it type of discussion, but I'm hoping that the openness of it is still interesting and rewarding for you to watch. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up or hit the subscribe button. If you'd like more writing advice, you can check out the other videos on my YouTube channel, or you can go to taraeast.com. There are over 100 blogs on the site for you to check out. While you're there, be sure to join my email newsletter. When you do, you'll get access to a free downloadable cheat sheet called The 7 Ways to Stay Motivated as a Writer. You'll also receive weekly email updates from me with information that I only share via email. You can also follow me on social media. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and of course, Facebook. I hope you enjoyed this video this week, guys, and have a fantastic week, and I'll see you next time.